Hey guys, Corey Adamson here, back again with another video. Sorry if the audio's not that great, there's some construction going on outside the office. But anyways, we'll get into it. So today, I want to have a quick chat about how I became a real estate agent, more so how I went from being a professional athlete to being a real estate agent. It seems to be a transition that quite a lot of athletes make. I've got my own reasons for doing it, and obviously so does everybody else, but today I'll kind of walk you through a bit of a timeline, how I got into it, how I got into property, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we may as well go back to the start. 2nd of July 2008, I was 16 years old and I signed a professional baseball contract with the San Diego Padres. Very young age to sign a professional contract. In Australia, a lot of kids do sign at 16. Obviously, over in the States, it's older after high school or college. But in any sense, they started scouting me when I was really young, as they do for a lot of Australian kids. And I signed that contract with the San Diego Padres. At the time I was playing football as well, so Australian rules football, and had to make a decision whether I wanted to pursue football or baseball. When the contract came out, I think it was the second or third largest in Australian history. Talks of money-wise, I think that may still stand, but I'm not too sure. So, there was a big incentive to go over and play baseball in America. So I jumped at the opportunity. Obviously had a good chat to my parents, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, everything like that. And we just went straight in and said, yeah, you know what? If there's any time to try it out, we may as well do it. So I started going over, sorry if I keep looking down, I've got some dates written in front of me. I started going over that year. I went from Queensland, which is where the Major League Baseball Academy was, so where they invite all the young kids to go try out and train and practice and play, all of that. That's where the scouts go. So I went straight from there to San Diego, met the team, met the coach, went to a couple of games and everything, and that's obviously the highest level, so Major League. And then from there I went to Arizona, where we do our spring training, and started training pretty much. I was there for about 3 months. My dad came with me then and continued on, came back after the end of the season and went and played for the local team here, so Morley Eagles and then Perth Heat from there. Fast forward to 2009, and that was kind of my first real year in the States. I played 2009 and 2010. I was in the Arizona League, so rookie league for the majority of it. 2009, it was half of a full season, I guess you could call it. I went over after high school and caught up at the end of that. 2009, I also bought my first property. So I was 17 years old and bought a property in Joondalup for $675,000. Used most of my signing bonus to get that property, and that I still have that. That was an investment. Rental return on that was really good when I bought it, over $50,000 a year. Now it's come down a little bit, but still over $40,000. So it's a good property to have, and that was kind of my first insight into real estate, into property, and I just thought it was unbelievable. Obviously, I had a bit of money to invest in it, which I did, but just seeing that I was getting a rental return every single week, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe that someone was paying me to do that, to keep up with my mortgage and all of that. I know it sounds, probably stupid to you guys right now, but I think I was a 17-year-old kid and never thought, I would have something like that, and ended up having that, and just, absolutely fell in love with the process of it. So from 2009 to 2013 is when I played professional baseball. So as I said, I was with the San Diego Padres in that organization, and was around the minor leagues, from Arizona League to High A through there in those times. So just reading off the sheet, 2009 and 10, I was in Arizona. End of 2010, I was in Eugene, Oregon, playing for the Emeralds. In 2011, I went to Fort Wayne, Indiana for a fill-in, then went back to Arizona League, and then went back to Eugene, so moved around a bit then. 2012, once again, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Eugene, Oregon. 2013, which was by far my best year, I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then got promoted to the Lake Elsinore Storm in California. Had a really good year that year, so that was probably my most positive. 2014, I was in Lake Elsinore again. I was having a good year. Unfortunately wasn't playing as much as I wanted to play, probably started thinking about things too much in my head, saw other people progressing, and kind of, I guess, fell out of love with the process a little bit. And that's when the West Coast Eagles contacted me. So after they contacted me, it was a bit of a whirlwind, bit of a rush. Everything happened, but they wanted me to do a tryout for them. So they flew a scout, Brad Smith, who also played for West Coast. They flew him over to Los Angeles, and I did kind of like the AFL Combine in one day in an NFL Combine place. So it was a big whirlwind of things. For those that don't know, in professional baseball, you usually have 3 or 4 days off a season. Other than that, you're playing every single day, so 7 days a week, through bus rides, 13-hour bus rides. It's not glamorous, but it was a lot of fun. So myself and Megan, my wife, we went to LA, did a tryout then. The day after I did that tryout, the West Coast Eagles offered me a contract, so I signed that contract and pretty much flew back the very next day. It was a big emotional decision. It was tough to make, but we jumped into it. Whether it was a good decision or a bad decision, that jury's still out on that. But then from then, I came back half of 2014 and started training with West Coast. So I couldn't play yet or anything because technically my contract didn't start. So I was just training every single day with the Eagles, training, getting as fit as possible. Obviously had to change the body shape a little bit. Baseball, you could be a bit pudgier than at West Coast in footy, but so I had to do that, make a big change there. In that same year, in 2014, I did my first land development. So that was just pretty much as an investor, jumped in that with my dad, my wife's dad, and a few other people. And once again, I was still amazed by the process. That one, put in money, people do the subdivision for us, do all of that, you get money back. Unfortunately for that, it took a lot longer than it was supposed to, and we got a lot less money than we were supposed to. Still made a profit on it, but it kind of taught me the highs and lows of real estate there and of property development. And then from that, 2015, 2016, I was with West Coast Eagles, played for East Perth, played one NAB Cup game. Thought I played pretty well, but obviously not well enough. And then at the end of that season, I was delisted by them. 2017 came around. Obviously wasn't with West Coast Eagles, didn't have a job, didn't know what to do, and I actually met up with Paul Tonich, who I now work with, and he pretty much told me, there was nothing going around at that point, so I jumped into a different job in a high-performance centre, working with athletes, so something I was comfortable with, something I knew what I could do. That was at Altitude in Myaree, and I just got the feeling, so I was also playing football still then for Subiaco. That's in the Waffle, so one under AFL in, I guess, above amateur. That one, we lost a grand final, which hurt a lot, but I made the state team then, and we went over to Victoria, beat them at home, I think in the first time in 120 odd years, so that was obviously a great feeling then. And then I had a serious injury to my foot, big surgery, all that stuff, and still haven't recovered, so that kind of forced me to hang up the boots pretty early. Would have loved to keep playing, but it just wasn't on the cards then. Anyways, back to Altitude, I was a programs and technical manager at the gym, and just felt like I wanted more. I was doing the same thing at the gym every day. Loved the gym, loved the people there, but I just feel like in a potential to earn, it just wasn't there for me. I kept wanting more, and there just wasn't any avenues to explore. So I called Paul again, just out of nowhere, and just said, mate, I want to get into real estate. Do you have any advice? I wasn't asking for a job. I literally just said, do you have any advice? Give me something, how I can do it, and I would do it, and we'll go from there. From that, he actually said, mate, crazy that you called me at this time. I've just sold my business, which was Altitude. He sold to Realmark, so obviously that one behind me. And he said there could be an opportunity for you to jump in. So I met up with him that day. Pretty much that day I met up with him, met up with the owner of Realmark, John Percadani, and they said there's going to be an opportunity here if you'd like it. And I said, yep, what do I have to do? The first thing you got to do, you got to get your real estate license. So I signed up that night to do that and knocked that out in I think 6 days online while I was at the other job. As soon as I was ready, I handed in my 2 weeks for that job and jumped straight in. Got into real estate, and it was a first day in real estate. We sold a property at auction, I think for $90,000 above the reserve, and I just thought real estate was the easiest thing in the world. Couldn't believe how easy it was. Obviously now that I'm in it, almost at a year, I know it's not that easy. Sometimes the properties are just that great that they sell like that, but in this market today, it can be tough. And I've talked about it in other videos where I've had one listing for 7 months and just had to keep that one going. So I've had the highs and lows. I know exactly what it takes to, be in real estate now and succeed in real estate, but I'm having a lot of fun just learning, and that's why I made the YouTube channel. I'll learn, you learn, and keep it up like that together. So now I go on to why I chose real estate, and probably why a lot of athletes choose real estate. As an athlete, one, I didn't have many qualifications for anything else. So it was either get a job or go to uni. Uni, I knew that it would take 4 years to do that. I already had 2 mortgages. I had a wedding coming up. It just wasn't plausible for me to do that. So I wanted a job where I could make money, could jump into it straight away, and probably the best money I could make for the skills that I have, essentially. And in real estate, people do laugh about it. They say it's a white collar job for blue collar people. Some people would get offended by that. I embrace it. I don't have high qualifications, never went to uni, but one thing I do have is experience. So I've obviously travelled the world with baseball. I've dealt with any type of personality that you can deal with. People that don't speak the language, people from completely different parts of the world, coaches who I loved, coaches who I hated. I don't say hate, but just for the video I'll say that. And then obviously the highs and lows of baseball. So doing something you absolutely love all the time, turning that into something that you've fallen out of love with, getting dropped, getting released, getting cut from teams, making teams. So just all the highs and lows there, they translate really well into real estate, especially in this market. It can be tough to make money, and then that's the other reason, money. So I wanted something where I didn't have a cap on what I could earn, and what I could earn completely. It came down to what I was willing to do. So real estate, I work 7 days a week. I don't have set hours throughout the day, and just smash out as much as I can in the best way possible. Obviously, it comes down to working smart as well. Anyone can put in big hours, but big hours doesn't translate to money, and that kind of resonates with why other athletes would choose this career as well. Athletes are used to making good amounts of money. They don't like to go into jobs where they make less money than before. Athletes can work 7 days a week. It's kind of ingrained into us, and just that feeling of competition. So one thing in real estate that I love is the competition. Whether you're going up against another agent, whether you're going up against a tough buyer, even in the appraisal, you're going up against the seller. You've got to convince them why you're the best. What can you do that other people can't do? And when you get that appraisal, when you get that listing, it's a great feeling. It's like you've just won a game. That's why I think a lot of athletes choose real estate to jump into. Why I chose Real Mark. So obviously the company behind me, why I chose to go there as opposed to anywhere else, it purely came down to personnel. So Paul Tonich, who I work with, we're in a team together. I'd dealt with him before. He sold a lot of houses for the West Coast boys, and it just seemed like a good transition to go into there. I knew I was going to get coaching straight away. I knew I'd be going into home opens, into good listings, $1 million+ properties straight away, rather than going to another company where I'd have to do it all from the ground up by myself. This was a really good way to enter the industry with as little risk as possible. Obviously there's still risk, we've still got to make money, we've still got to do that, but at least I knew I was with someone that knows how to make money. He ran a successful business for 15 years or whatever it is. He knows how to make money, he knows how to sell houses, he knows how to get listings, and it was just a good way for me to jump in, do that, surround myself with other good agents. So we've got Ryan Smith here, he's an ex-athlete as well, Dan Kakmo, also an ex-athlete, Nathan Tonich, Paul's cousin, who we owned the business with before. It's just a great atmosphere to jump straight into. So now going into it, I don't feel scared going into $1 million properties. I'm not too nervous about doing all that. I obviously want to do the best I can, but it was just a good way to kind of incubate myself and really, release the potential that I had to be a real estate agent.